The Australian government declares war against extreme male influencers on social media. The government-funded project will engage and target a school-age male audience through face-to-face interactions at sporting clubs, community organisations, and on social media to counter the rise of unapproved male social media role models. According to self-serving research by the Australian government, it says it's revealed that 25% of teenage boys in Australia look up to social media personalities who propagate harmful gender stereotypes. This means young men thinking for themselves. We must ask, where is the government going with this? They clearly want young men in Australia to be effeminate, woke, weak, have low self-esteem, and be spiritually broken. The Australian Anthony Albanese government is afraid of a generation of independent, strong and politically active and engaged men, holding government and institutions accountable for their mischief and menace. Disagreeable men don't tolerate tyranny. They protect their families and communities against ideologically extremist captured governments and institutions marinated in spiteful, destructive ideologies which harm families and the values and culture which bond society to produce a well-adjusted next generation. How does the Australian government justify funding campaigns against protective alpha male role models? Do Australians realise that a nation of supine, docile, spineless cowards who won't defend their own liberties will not defend the nation from external enemies or enemies from within? The Australian government is now clearly the enemy of Australian men and their families. Every Australian who isn't a government apparatchik or ideological combatant against the citizens should rise up and strike down this latest Orwellian initiative in the culture war against the people. We haven't forgotten the tyrannical lockdowns and injection mandates or lose your job to feed your family. We remember the restricted freedom of movement and Australians arrested, beaten and shot for petitioning government. This is where an unthinking majority acquiescence to government got us. Those who notice have rightly learned to be suspicious of government. We've seen what unbridled government is capable of doing. What won't government do if left unchecked? It's always governments that have visited the worst horrors on the people and killed more people than diseases or natural disasters. Unbridled government zealotry leads to contempt for the people. Individual rights are trampled and incrementally the horrors begin unless the people push back. Every government initiative that threatens Australians must be resisted, no matter how obtuse it may seem to our daily lives. Brainwashing and feminising Australian boys is not on. Clearly, the Australian government is not satiated by its promotion of transgenderism, homosexuality, and telling young girls that marriage and motherhood is undesirable to achieve personal fulfilment. None of this is in the interest of a well-adjusted, homogeneous community of Australians. Who voted for this latest Orwellian government programme? Australians didn't. Get active. Contact your local elected member and demand that $3.5 million taxpayer dollars must not be incinerated by a clique of malicious and pernicious toxic feminist ideologues, burrowed scabies like into the machinery of government, devising a witch's brew of ever-new cultural atrocities. Speak up and stop this psychological war on Australia's next generation of boys, or it will have personal and national existential consequences. This matter is serious. Share this message widely and contact your elected representative, voicing your displeasure and opposition, and make it clear to your local candidates or incumbent representatives they will languish in the political wilderness when they next come to the people for their support. For now, we'll use democratic processes, but it won't necessarily always remain so.